my name is Opal Murphy Hicks, and I am your host on Let's Talk Education. Let's Talk Education show is about introducing the importance of education for individuals as they achieve success. Education is important because it helps you achieve success on many different levels. And today in our studio audience, we have Blaine here with us to talk about education. Starting from the completion of high school to skill trades, college, and different areas as you go off into the workforce, what are some of your thoughts on education?
Well, I personally feel that education has much room for reform, much room for change. Not that the current way that we do things doesn't work, but not everybody fits into the cookie cutter platform.
Okay.
So for me personally, it didn't work for me to just read through a textbook and learn that way. I'm the hands-on kind of person. So you go into the area that you want to work in and you make your mistakes. You kind of do it as you go along, because you're going to end up making mistakes regardless of whether you went through a textbook or not. So in my personal opinion, I would say that as we go into college, it is important to first of all make sure that what you're going to do that you love. If you're going to do it for money or anything else, it's just not going to work for you.
Okay. So let's back up a moment here. You're from South Africa.
Yes, that is correct.
You moved from South Africa and you moved to the United States. At what age would you say that happened?
I must have been 13 or 14 years old.
13 or
like
14?
That. Yeah.
So you were pretty much transitioning from maybe a middle school into high school. What was that transition like for you?
You know, our school systems in South Africa are very different than they are here. And in a lot of cases, it's a lot harder, it's a lot more stringent. You kind of know what's expected of you, and if you don't get it right or if you don't do it the right way, oh well on you. You're going to have to find a way to make it work. So in that case, we're a little more lenient in the United States. But either way, it seems all the way around, we kind of have to follow everybody else's. We're all following each other like there's no other alternative for us. So transitioning from South Africa to coming here, I had to quickly find a way to follow the new regiment and the way everybody else was doing education here, which was really incredibly difficult. You know, just we're talking culture shock and all that, but generally speaking, you know, we're talking decimal places. You know, in South Africa, it doesn't matter if you put a period or a comma or whatever, it's the same thing. Well, here it's not. You know, so just little things like that.
Little things like that. So, Let's Talk Education is a production of Murphy's Educational Center, where we help individuals learn the different skills that are available in education areas that are available to them. So would you say that your transition from high school going into the workforce, that you'll be more interested in, say, skill trades or entrepreneurship or something of that nature, as opposed to college per se?
Yes, for me, yes. And you know, before I ended up graduating high school, I joined a hybrid high school, which is a college and high school mix, which I think is so much better than the way that we've traditionally done it, where you have to do high school and then you have to do college, and then in college you take the same classes you did in high school with the exception of a few details. That worked better for me, but it still wasn't enough to thrust me into a career into a career of any kind. I was still left confused. I was still left not knowing what I wanted to do. So even in doing that and going to a community college, you know, which I feel very blessed that I got to do that, but my personality is that of an entrepreneur and of a business owner. It's not that kind of education is not for me. But there's so many different ways we can do things. I personally think that if there was different outlets for me as far as education, I probably would have done a lot better.
So if you were introduced to the many different areas that are available to you today at an earlier stage, or stage in your education, would that have been helpful for you?
Absolutely, you know, and we do hear about certain educational systems and things that are maybe not of the norm, but it's not commonplace. So naturally, when things aren't commonplace, it's not really shared a lot with the students or
Yes.
with people. And in it being not shared a lot, people kind of shy away from the norm. And we see that even in business, in the business that I'm in, which we'll get to later. But people shy away from things that are not normal to them.
Absolutely. As you continue on in your career or education, what would you say to the average high school student or the average person that's looking to transition maybe from another job into a career or vice versa?
First, okay, well, my number one thing is always find something that you love or that you believe that you're good at. And very early on in your life, you usually will find out something that you're good at when you're young, or something that you enjoy, whatever that may be. If you find something that you love, then most likely you can end up making a career out of it. If you just find a job or just go and get an education on the basis of what someone else told you to do, you'll be miserable. It's not going to work for you if you just do what other people told you to do. But stay focused. Stay focused, stay focused, stay focused. Doesn't matter what you're doing, whether it be education, being an entrepreneur, whatever your form of education is, stay focused, stay focused, stay focused.
As I do my research on education, employment, in different areas as it relates to education, one of the things that I came across was the average person has anywhere from 500 to 800 different skills. And the average person only uses one or two of those skills. How many of those skills would you say you've used from your high school, from transitioning from high school into the work area?
Well, definitely not 800. I know that a lot of them within the last 2 years have really come into this kind of condensed area where I'm needing to use different facets of what I can do, which I didn't necessarily know that I could do some of these things, or that I had a skill and a talent for this from my educational experiences and moving on. But if somebody could develop an educational class or a system that could really help people understand what they're good at, even if it's just 5 things that you can realize, okay, I'm good at accounting, I'm good at this, that, and the next thing. If you can just focus on 5 things that you're good at, then at least okay, I'm good at something. It's not just, okay, I have to be a doctor because everybody in my family is a doctor. You may not be good at that.
Right. So would you say that having the ability to learn or to participate, so to speak, in different areas helped you gain more knowledge and more passion to do?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, I do feel that has made a huge difference. And even if I could have the opportunity now to take a class, or even if it's a 2-week course or something that could really enhance the talents and gifts that I already have, that'd be fantastic. I haven't found anything like that. And as we've spoken over the years, there's plenty of schools and colleges and universities and stuff that I've looked into, but never, for me personally, found that one area that's just like, okay, you know what, you're really good at this, so let's build you up in that area. We just kind of gets thrown into a business system that's taking your money and teaching you something, but just because you're reading a book doesn't constitute that you know how to think.
Absolutely.
It means that you're book smart. It doesn't mean that you're smart as far as making intelligent decisions. So
as you end your high school and partial college education, first of all, let's talk about what were the colleges, what college experience do you have or education do you have thus far?
Well, I did attend Oakland Community College, which, doing that in the hybrid school that I attended, Oakland Early College, which is on the campus, was a fantastic experience because I didn't have to do, take one class and then take another class. You can kind of marry the two together. So you're cutting down on time. And a lot of students, at least from my experience in attending college, students get bored because we're technically learning the same thing multiple times over. Doesn't mean that you remember everything, but let's be real. How much of the stuff that you learned in high school do you actually remember now?
Yes.
How much of it do you use? So I really enjoyed that part, but when it came down to, okay, this is what I'm basing my career off of. This is what is supposed to thrust me forward, it didn't gel for me.
Okay. As you take off in your career, and I'm going to say career now because now you are what are you doing now?
Well, I'm a business owner now, and I do want to add before we go down that road, most of what I learned education-wise as far as making decisions came from you and business owners like you that teach you like, hey, okay, this is not going to work for you. So people that kind of think outside of the box, that's what works for me. So that is what thrusted me into being a business owner and taking the risk to start a business, because you don't always know in the beginning when you start, like, hey, it's going to be fantastic success, but you try.
Absolutely. So as you take on your journey in entrepreneurship, which is what I hear from you,
yes.
What area are you currently in?
I'm not in any one area. I'm actually kind of spread myself all over the place. I do own a web hosting company called Holy Host that I started that about a year ago, and it's doing very, very, very well. And I also co-own, actually both businesses are co-owned, but I co-own a video production company with two partners. And we're working on some, bigger things with that. But right now, the focus for the most part, until we get some things in place for the production company, is Holy Host. Okay. And that comes with an array of other services for people to have their portfolios together online, because a lot of people would love to put a website together and use something like Wix or whatever the case may be, because it's easy. That's fine, but 5,000 other people are using the same brand and the same template that you are, so you don't stand out. Okay. GM does not use the same templates as everybody else does.
So in wrapping up, you are a web hoster right now.
Yes.
And Holy Host is your company.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to give our viewers your website address?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you'd like to find out more about Holy Host, you can go to holyhostnet.com. And the other business is Worship Center Network, and that website is worshipcenterstudios.com. And we have an array of information for people to look at there.
And as we wrap up here our evening, our afternoon with Blaine Irving at holyhost.com, we will continue to bring you more information on careers, education as it relates to the workforce, and as well as MEC. MEC is Murphy's Educational Center, and we do training, educational training in many, many different areas. And we are always open and support and provide information for viewers like yourself, whether you are a senior citizen, high school senior entering the college, or just a high school student. We also have programs for veterans as well as young men and young women experiencing difficulties finding a career of their choice and education of their choice as they take the journey off into the new world, as I say. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Education, and we will be back another day with more information for you.